Hi, I'd like to welcome you to this virtual version of Junior Parent Night presented by the Helena High School Counseling Department. My name is Jamie Pandis, and while this event looks quite a bit different than it has in years past, my hope is that you'll find this presentation informative. I just want to remind you of contact information for counselors within our counseling department. I work with students' last names A through E. Mrs. Staldine works with students' last names F through L. Mr. Mergel works with students' last names M through R. And Mrs. Mergel works with students' last names S through Z. While our career counselor position is currently vacant, we are hoping to have that position filled soon. And Karina, our office manager who keeps all of us running, is available at 324-2221. I want to start by letting you know that this presentation will be stored on our counseling website. Just go to our Helena High School webpage and you can click on Counseling and Career Guidance. And then as you scroll over to the right and down to the bottom, you'll see where it says Junior Parent Night. Any resources that I mentioned during this presentation, as well as this presentation, will be stored in this area. Hard to believe that it's almost February, which means it's time for registration. And because your student is a junior, they get to go first during this registration process, preparing for their final registration and getting ready for that senior year of high school. I wanted to share with you the timeline that we have in place for juniors. On Monday, February 8th, is when we as school counselors will be in U.S. history classes, giving a presentation to students and helping them prepare those registration materials. Now, I want to point out that Monday is an A day. So those students who are A days that are involved in the hybrid learning model, they're going to be physically on campus and in their seats with their U.S. history teachers. If your student is a B day student, and a DLI student, they are also going to be expected to log in through Microsoft Teams to be able to attend at the appropriate time to view the registration presentation that counselors will be giving in U.S. history classes. So all students will be getting the same information at the same time: A day, B day, DLI. A day will be getting it face-to-face. DLI and B day students will look for that join invitation within their calendar of Microsoft Teams in order to be present. Students will be receiving those registration materials prior to February 8th. A day students will get those from their U.S. history teacher on a day that they're in class. B day students will also receive those registration materials from their U.S. history teachers on a day that they're in class. And DLI students are able to pick up those registration materials in our main office. Again, it'll be helpful to have those registration materials prior to February 8th because it'll make a whole lot more sense how to fill out that paperwork if you have it in front of you while we're discussing. On the 8th, we'll also be utilizing the graduation progress report in PowerSchool to help students check their graduation credits and make sure that they're on track for graduation. And we'll also briefly be discussing college entrance requirements. There's kind of a quick turnaround on this registration paperwork. And so I just want to point out that on Tuesday, February 16th, we're hopeful that A-Day students will be able to turn in their completed registration form to their history teachers. Again, a completed registration form means that there's a parent signature on that form. While you juniors are getting ready to enter the adult world, it still is important to have that conversation with your child as to what courses they're planning to take for their senior year. So Tuesday, February 16th for A-Day students, both hybrid and DLI, to turn in those registration materials. Thursday, February 18th for B-Day students, again, hybrid and DLI, to turn in registration materials. DLI students, you can turn those into the main office and they will get those to us in the counseling department. And I should mention that if you are concerned about coming into the building on Tuesday or Thursday, given the number of people that are in the building, you certainly would have the option to turn in those registration materials on Wednesday, February 17th, if that felt like a more comfortable option. Again, that would go to the main office and they would route those registration materials to us in the counseling department. If you have any questions or have any concerns about either how to get the registration paperwork or how to return the completed registration paperwork, don't hesitate to reach out to your child's school counselor. What you're seeing right now is the graduation progress report that your student will receive a copy of on the 8th. So they should be able to bring that home and share this with you, and you guys can discuss this as well. What this shows over here on the left-hand side is the requirements that students must have, as well as how many credits in each of those categories that they must earn in order to graduate. Under completed, you should be able to see the credits that have been earned. These are courses that would have been completed freshman year and sophomore year. And then you'll also be able to see those courses that your student is currently enrolled in. Over here, you can see that in some categories, for instance, science, the graduation requirement has been met because this student has passed an earth science class and a biology class. So that's why you see this completed. It lets you know that that category of science has been met. The graduation requirement has been met, as well as for PE, health, and this particular student has completed their vocational and fine art credits as well. So you can also see that this student needs 2 more credits of English, which is pretty typical for a junior student. They'll take English their junior year and senior year. This is a great representation, a great snapshot of where your child is sitting right now with regards to those graduation requirements and whether they are on track for graduation or whether they need to discuss credit recovery options if maybe they had a hiccup along the way and didn't pass one of those required courses. If you have any questions about how to interpret this, your student should be able to help you, but if they can't, again, you can reach out to the appropriate school counselor. On the screen right now, you can see the high school graduation requirements for your student. Students are required to earn 23 credits in order to graduate from Helena High School, and you can see the breakdown of those credits there. 4 credits of English, 3 credits of social studies, and that is broken out in the following ways. They need 1 credit of world cultures, 1 credit of government, which is a senior level social studies class, and then 1 credit of American history, which they're likely currently enrolled in, as most juniors take it their junior year. Students also need 2 credits of science, 3 credits of math, 1.5 credits of PE, a half credit, so just 1 semester, of health, 1 full credit of fine art, 1 full credit of a vocational class, and then an additional 7 credits to add up to that magical number of 23. Now, seniors are required to take 6 credit-bearing classes. Usually, if seniors are on track for graduation, they may not need 6 credits in order to graduate, but per our student handbook, students are required to take 6 credit-bearing classes every year. And there's a lot of different ways that seniors will find to fulfill that 6 credit-bearing rule. Some students will simply enroll in 6 credit-bearing classes their senior year. It's that last opportunity to make use of a free education and really enjoy all of the wonderful courses that are available at Helena High. As a reminder, study halls are not considered credit-bearing classes, and neither are TA positions. Some students like to do get a little creative with how they come up with their 6 credits. Some students who have a job may opt to take business co-op. This is a way to get paid work experience and earn high school credit at the same time. Of note, you need to be concurrently enrolled in another vocational class, so something within our business department or computer science or culinary or out in the shops. You would need to be in one of those classes in order to take business co-op. But it's a great way to get high school experience for paid work experience. You can also opt to take a class at Helena College or at Carroll College to fulfill those 6 credit-bearing classes. You might sign up for an internship. Of course, we've had to put these internships on hold right now given COVID concerns, but our hope is that once our community is healthy again and it's safe to do so, that we can start that internship program back up because it's a great way to get high school credit for unpaid work experiences. And some students opt to try a course through Montana Digital Academy, commonly called MTDA. This is an online way to earn credits, and there are some great options out there, although there are some challenges as well, such as the calendars that oftentimes don't line up, meaning MTDA may have their own semester calendar, which looks slightly different than the Helena High School calendar. Courses that are taken through MTDA do get transcribed on that high school transcript. As a reminder, students are required to complete all 23 credits in order to walk and participate in the graduation ceremony. Let's talk a little bit about college admission requirements for the Montana University System. MUS, which stands for Montana University System, is sort of that umbrella term for many of the 2-year and 4-year campuses within our state. But the college prep curriculum is something that our 4-year campuses are looking for in order to see if students meet admission requirements. And that college prep curriculum is 4 years of English, 3 years of math, 2 years of lab science, 3 years of social studies, and then 2 years of college prep electives. So a student who takes the basic general courses required to earn that Helena High School diploma is likely going to be on a solid path for meeting those admission requirements for the Montana University System. One thing to consider in talking with your student about their post-secondary plans is whether or not your student plans to attend a college out of state. While we don't require foreign languages as part of our high school diploma completion program, many colleges that are out of state do require 2 consecutive years of foreign language. So that's something to look into if your student is planning to attend an out-of-state college. And in fact, you may want to reach out to that college to see what their specific requirements are. So while you certainly can meet those MUS admission requirements, there's also another opportunity to push yourself and challenge yourself, and that's by completing the Montana University System Rigorous Core. This adds an additional year of math, an additional year of science, as well as an additional year of college prep electives to the student's schedule. And a reason that a student would maybe pursue this is in order to give themselves the best opportunity to be prepared for the academic rigors that they could experience once they're ready to attend college. Research has shown that that additional year of math and science better prepare students for that academic rigor in the college campus setting. Another thing to kind of keep in the back of your mind is that students who complete this Montana University System rigorous core and maintain certain eligibility criteria could become eligible to compete for the MUS Honors Scholarship. The Honors Scholarship is a very generous scholarship. It is a 4-year renewable scholarship, which essentially waives all the tuition if students attend one of the eligible campuses under the Montana University System. But again, in order to be eligible for that scholarship, you must follow this rigorous core outline. So there are also some admission standards that the Montana University System 4-year campuses are looking at to ensure that your student can be successful on their campus. So the screen that I'm showing you right now shows a couple different criteria. Your student needs to meet one of these 3. And that would be either a 2.5 GPA, that's a cumulative GPA, or a ranking in the top half of their class, or you can see some test scores listed there, namely an ACT of a 22 for most of the schools. Montana State University Northern up in Havre does allow for an ACT score of 20. So your student doesn't need to meet all 3 of those, rather they just need to meet one of those. And in order to show that they are as best prepared as possible for success at the collegiate level, they also want to see students demonstrate math proficiency by meeting one of the following: an ACT score of a 22 or higher, SAT math score of a 27.5 or higher, earning a 3 or better on the AP Calculus exam, or completing 4 years of high school math, namely earning a C or better in Algebra 1, Geometry, Algebra 2, and then extending that 4th year of math beyond Algebra 2. In addition, there are writing proficiency standards as well. You can see ACT and SAT scores there, as well as an AP English Literature score of 3 or better on that AP exam. Now, if your student maybe doesn't meet all of the criteria, the writing proficiency or the math, or maybe, their GPA is a little lower than a 2.5, that doesn't necessarily mean that they can't or won't be accepted to a Montana University System school. But what it does mean is they might be accepted and they may have to take some remedial courses, some lower level courses, in order to ensure that they have that basic proficiency needed in order to be successful on a college campus. Let's talk a little bit about the ACT exam. The ACT exam is coming up for all juniors in the Helena School District on April 6th of this year. It is an early start. Students will be expected to be in their seats by 7:45 a.m. We're not quite sure yet where the location is going to be. Once we know a little bit more about that, that information will be communicated out to parents. Students are automatically registered for this exam, and the registration fee is covered by the Helena School District. So really, you as a parent of a junior need to do nothing in order for your student to take the ACT exam. ACT scores can be used for college entrance as well as dual credit class placement. And the ACT also gives students a good look to see how prepared they might be for college. On average, students who retake the ACT their senior year increase their scores 60% of the time. We are really fortunate in Helena that we are able to offer this ACT exam as the standardized test for juniors as well, that OPI generally requires of us. OPI as well as Garrett Montana are partners with us, and they are actually the ones that cover that registration fee and make it available to your student free of charge. So again, it's just a great opportunity for all of our juniors to experience a college entrance exam free of charge. So you might be wondering how your student can best prepare themselves for this AP exam. I'm sorry, for the ACT exam. Students are going to receive a practice booklet from their English teacher. Email communications have been and will continue to be sent home to all parents of juniors. In fact, an email was just recently sent, I believe on January 21st, that provided a lot of the same information that's in this presentation was in that email. If you did not receive that email, I would encourage you to contact the school at 324-2200 to ensure that we have an accurate email address on file for you. So our partners at the Lewis and Clark Library have historically run some really great study groups to help students prepare for the ACT, but unfortunately, just due to COVID and some of the limitations that they have in place, they're not going to be able to offer that this year. But there are some other organizations that are private organizations that do offer some wonderful ACT test prep options for you. Sycamore Learning is a group that has historically come in and provided great face-to-face ACT prep for all of our juniors at Capitol High and Helena High School. They're still able to provide that same ACT prep experience. It's just going to look a little bit different this year, as you might imagine. It's going to be online this year, and you can see those dates and those time requirements there. If you want to learn a little bit more about this, or if you want to sign your student up, please visit www.prepforthefuture.com. The cost for this particular opportunity is $99. Another great opportunity is through our Sylvan Learning Center located here in Helena. I've provided you with the phone number as well as the email address of Shar, who is the center director. She does a great job of organizing ACT prep services for local students. There is a fee for the Sylvan Learning option as well, and you're encouraged to have your student take a diagnostic ACT between January 22nd and February 3rd. And just know that the payment that you do make covers manuals, access to sylvanprep.com for an entire year, 4 ACT practice exams, and 28 hours of in-center instruction. Again, you can reach out to Shar for more information, but there are also lots of wonderful free ACT prep opportunities out there. Again, I know those were just sent out in an email a couple days ago, so check your email for that or reach out to your school counselors if you're not sure that you received that. I want to take this opportunity to talk a little bit about dual credit options. We are really fortunate here at Helena High to offer such a wide variety of dual credit classes for our students. A dual credit class is a class that a student takes on campus here at Helena High School from a Helena High teacher. And the beauty of it is they're going to take whatever course they choose here at Helena High. They're going to earn that grade. Whatever grade they earned is going to be transcribed on their high school transcript as well as a college transcript. And they don't even have to take that class on a college campus. They get to stay right here at Helena High. There are some things to consider, though, as to whether or not a dual credit course may or may not be an appropriate fit for your child. So obviously there are some positives with the dual credit class. If your student is looking for that extra push or academic rigor, they're definitely going to get that in a dual credit class because it is a college level class and they can expect that college level rigor. Students obviously earn high school credit and college credit simultaneously. And oftentimes, these dual credit courses can help students realize, yes, this is the career path for me. I really enjoy this experience. Or sometimes students get that college credit, but also maybe decide, maybe this isn't the right career path for me, and they make a change prior to starting college. Obviously, if students are earning college credits while still in high school, that's going to expedite that college degree completion process at whatever college they end up attending after high school. Cost is a huge one. Cost effectiveness of dual credit classes is big and important for those of us parents who are trying to figure out how to pay for college for our students. The cost is about one third of the traditional cost. For instance, if I take Writing 101 as a high school student, it's going to cost approximately a third of what it would cost me to take that same exact course if I was a college student. And there are some options like the 1-2 Free initiative, as well as early access, which I'll talk about in a moment. Research has shown that those students who take a dual credit course in high school and find success with that require less remediation once they get to the college level. Now, another thing to consider with your student might be some cons, so to speak. One of which is that registration process. In particular, the college semester doesn't always line up with our high school semester in terms of calendars and due dates and things of that nature. So sometimes that registration process can feel a little bit confusing or a little bit cumbersome. But those dual credit classroom teachers here at Helena High do a great job of helping to walk students through that registration process. While many of these dual credit classes, if not all of them, offer some really great opportunities, there also is no guarantee that those credits will transfer to all institutions of higher learning. We have found that within the Montana University system, there seems to be a pretty good transferability of credits. However, again, there's no guarantee. And in particular, if your student is looking at maybe a private school or a college out of state, you would want to consult with those admissions departments to check with them about those transferability of credits. Again, while some students really thrive with that academic rigor of the dual credit classes, some students just aren't quite ready to push themselves and experience that level of rigor. So that's something to discuss as a family. Because those grades that the student earns, not only are they reported on their high school transcript, they do become a permanent record on a college transcript. So that's something, again, simply to discuss as a family to determine whether or not you think a dual credit class might be an appropriate fit for your student. And if you have any questions about that, you can feel free to reach out to your school counselor. We do offer a wide variety of courses, which you can see here. Most of our dual credit courses are through partnership with Helena College, just across the street. They're a great partner to us, and it's an awesome opportunity. But we do also have some courses that we partner with Missoula College in the welding area, in the culinary area. And then we actually partner with Gallatin College to offer dual credit courses in drafting. Now, the all important question, how do we pay for those college credits? Luckily, we've got some really great opportunities within the Helena area. Throughout the state, the Montana University system has this 1-2 Free initiative, which allows up to 6 credits free of charge for high school students. Usually, this works out to be the first 2 classes, but ultimately it boils down to those 6 credits that are available free of charge for students. And this 1-2 Free initiative can be used for dual credit classes, which are taken here at Helena High, or dual enrollment classes, which are classes that are taken on a college campus. Now, I know that can sometimes be confusing, so the way to remember this is this. Dual credit means that the student takes that course here on campus at Helena High School, and they are earning high school credit and college credit at the same time. A dual enrollment class, however, is a class that's offered only on the college campus. The student must actually be on the college campus in order to take that course, and that credit is only transcribed on a college transcript. So, for instance, I have a student right now who's taking abnormal psych across the street at Helena College. It's a great opportunity for her, and we were able to make it work in her schedule. She will only earn college credit for that. That will not show up on her high school transcript, but she still can use the 1-2 Free initiative to help pay for that. just like a student who might be taking a dual credit course right now in, say, calculus, and maybe they're taking that here at Helena High School. They can still use the 1-2 Free initiative. We're hopeful to have that funding for years to come. It just depends on legislative funding. Another really awesome partnership that we have with Carroll College is through their early access program. And you can see the link there if you'd like to know a little bit more about that. Unfortunately, due to COVID, we weren't able to make that work this year because Carroll College, their calendar and our high school calendar just didn't line up very well. Colleges this year were starting earlier than ever before, and so we just couldn't make it work. But we are hopeful that as things return to normal and our communities in a healthier place, that we can start up again with this early access program. And the way that the early access program works is that juniors and seniors in the Helena area can take up to 2 classes on the Carroll College campus per semester. Again, those would be dual enrollment courses. So those would be courses that only are going to be reported on a college transcript. They don't count for high school credit. And there are some eligibility criteria. For instance, students must have a cumulative GPA of 3.25. And then, of course, there's fees associated with it. But I will tell you this, a $60 processing fee is a steal of a deal for a 3 credit, or even if a student takes 2 classes, 6 credits at Carroll College. $60 fee allows a student to take that class and also gives them access to an activity pass. It takes care of their library fees, and really it's a wonderful opportunity. As a reminder, students must remain enrolled in at least 4 credits here at Helena High School in order to maintain their eligibility for all activities sponsored by the Montana High School Association. Let's talk a little bit about college and military visits. So, unfortunately, right now, we don't have college representatives or military reps coming to our campus. They are providing opportunities to learn more about colleges and the different military branches virtually. But the hope is by the time that your student is a senior, things will look a little bit more normal and we'll be able to get back to the way we do business with regard to visits from college and military reps. And there's 2 ways for your students to learn more about colleges and militaries. One way, once it's safe to do so and once your family feels comfortable doing so, is to visit colleges or visit with military folks. If you are wanting to schedule a college visit, what you would do is excuse your student prior to that absence. While your student is at the visit, they can obtain written verification of the visit and bring that form back to our Helena High School attendance office. And in that instance, what our attendance staff will do is change that excused absence over to a school-related absence, which doesn't impact those 10 absences students are allowed per semester. Now, students are allowed to do this 2 times in a school year. So, perhaps as things change a little bit and COVID gets under control, maybe next fall, if you have an interest in visiting different campuses, that might be something that benefits you. Another way to learn about colleges and military is when we have reps in our school listening to the daily bulletins. You can also check that bulletin online and check our counseling office website. And if you had interest in visiting with a college or military rep, your student would simply just come into the counseling office ahead of time in order to sign up. And we would then deliver a pass to make sure that that student could be excused from class in order to listen to the rep. It's never too early to start thinking about scholarships. There are a few that are able to be filled out as juniors. So it's never a bad idea to start taking a look there. Again, our counseling website, which is able to be reached through the Helena High School website, does have a link for scholarships. And on that link, there are scholarship search tools. We have individual scholarships for the different colleges and universities in Montana. And it's also updated frequently as we become aware of new scholarships. One thing that I kind of encourage students to do, especially when they really get ready to start applying for those scholarships, is simply to make a habit of checking the website at least once a week. Make it part of your Wednesday routine or Friday routine, whatever works most for you, just to check and see what might be new. FAFSA. This is something that can sometimes feel a little bit overwhelming to parents, but if your student is preparing to attend a college or university out after graduation, you are going to want to fill out the free application for federal student aid. Parents, you guys will be able to start that process on October 1st of 2021. That's going to be the fall of your child's senior year. And prior to that, there's a little bit of legwork that you'll want to do. You'll want to make sure that you have an FSA ID as well as your student having an FSA ID, because those ID numbers will be critical in order to start the FAFSA process. You'll want to gather your 2020 tax information, because that is the information that you'll use to complete that FAFSA form. Sometimes we have families say, you know what, I don't think we're going to do the FAFSA. Maybe we think our family won't qualify for anything, so we're just not going to do that. But it's really strongly encouraged that all students and families fill out this FAFSA form. In fact, there are lots of scholarships that will ask you what your EFC, or expected family contribution, is, and the only way that you can know that is by having successfully completed that FAFSA form. FAFSA is sort of the clearinghouse for qualifying for any kinds of grants. Grants are awesome because that's free money. That's money that you don't have to pay back. Student loans, if your student qualifies for student loans, that will be through FAFSA. And WorkStudy is another program managed kind of through FAFSA. So again, that opens up on October 1st of 2021. You will definitely receive an email reminder prior to that date to get that task completed for college-bound students. Those of you who have student athletes in the home, one thing that you might be talking about is their desire to potentially pursue collegiate opportunities to be a student athlete. And it's really important that you are aware that the NCAA and NAIA have their own academic requirements, separate from our graduation requirements at Helena High School. It's really important that if your student has aspirations of being a student athlete at the next level, that they are working closely with their school counselor starting in their junior year, particularly in regards to course planning. Take a look there. You can see the NCAA requirements. They have their own academic requirements of 16 core courses, 10 of which must be completed prior to the 7th semester, which is the start of senior year. And 7 of those 10 courses must be in English, math, or science. There's a GPA component as well as a testing component to consider in order to meet those NCAA academic requirements. NAIA also has their own academic requirements that look a little bit different. You must meet 2 of those 3 categories listed there on the screen. And again, I can't emphasize this enough. If your child has any aspirations whatsoever, it's critical that they work back with their student counselor and that their student counselor knows they have an interest in pursuing athletic opportunities at the collegiate level, so that you can work closely with the school counselor to develop an academic plan that will meet those eligibility requirements for those post-secondary institutions. The NCAA Eligibility Center can be reached through the URL on this slide. It looks a little bit like this. If your student is ready to register through this Eligibility Center, just make sure that you have payment ready, probably in the form of a debit or credit card. Same goes for NAIA. Their Eligibility Center looks like this, and the URL is on this screen. And again, payment is associated with registration here as well. Another kind of neat tool that I want to share with you is this AP credit policy search. You can check out this URL if your student has taken an AP exam or is anticipating taking a future AP exam. This is kind of a fun site where you can search to see what scores mean what at different universities. For instance, if I wanted to look at the AP English language and composition exam, if I took that and maybe I scored a 4, I can see that, well, if I were to go to the University of Montana, they require a minimum score of 3. So if I earned a 4, I'm good to go. And if I earned that minimum requirement, I would be awarded 6 credits at the University of Montana and an equivalency of successfully completing the Writing 101 requirement. You can see that that looks different at Montana State University. A 4 on that same exact AP exam earns me 3 credits at MSU and that equivalency of that Writing 101. Now, I want to point out that out-of-state colleges and universities are also listed within this tool, so it can be a fun way to kind of see what might be available for college equivalencies based on different scores that students earn on the different AP exams available. I briefly want to touch on the PSAT. This is an exam. The PSAT NMSQT is a voluntary exam that was administered back in the fall of this year on October 14th. We had 136 students at Helena High opt to take this exam. Ordinarily, by now, I have those score reports. I did receive an email just prior to Christmas break indicating that they were preparing those score reports to be mailed out, but I have yet to receive those. Once we receive those paper score reports, we'll figure out a plan to get those to your student. But the PSAT exam measures the skills and knowledge that research has shown as being most essential for college and career readiness. It's really a great opportunity to practice and prepare for the ACT or SAT, both college entrance exams often required for college admissions. On our counseling webpage, where you clicked on the counselor and career guidance, you can also scroll all the way down to where you see the junior parent night tab. And again, these materials, the video demonstration, as well as the 2-page parent tutorial about understanding PSAT score reports, will all be listed in that junior parent night tab. And while we don't have the paper score reports yet, your students do have access to their full score report online at psat.org/myscore. And they're encouraged to look at that. And the other really neat part of PSAT is that through a partnership with Khan Academy, they can set up personalized practice in those areas where maybe they might need some improvement. So the next step for your students, if they took the PSAT exam, is to create a College Board account in order to view that PSAT score report, again at psat.org/myscore. They then can create a Khan Academy account at satpractice.org and link that to your College Board account for free. And again, a beautiful thing with this partnership is that they can receive personalized practice for the SAT and SAT. Students can decide whether or not they'd like to take the SAT exam. As a reminder, again, we will register them for an opportunity to take the ACT on April 6th. There are national testing dates for both the SAT and ACT if your student is interested. And just practice, practice, practice. Practice makes perfect. Quickly, I want to mention the National Merit Finalist Competition. If once you have a chance to review your student's score report, they have scored in the top 1% of juniors nationally. So oftentimes that looks like the 99th percentile. If your student has scored in that high area, your student may be invited to participate as a semifinalist in the National Merit Competition, which has a scholarship attached to that as well. Just know that if your student does receive that invitation, they will need to verify that score by taking the SAT. That concludes the Junior Parent Night presentation, and I'd just like to thank you for taking time out of what I know are busy times for your family to watch this presentation. As a reminder, if you have any questions whatsoever, please feel free to reach out to your child's school counselor. We are here and we are happy to help. Stay healthy, Bengals. Take care and go Bengals.